doing? Aww. Hey everybody, this is the Artistrator, and today I'm going to try Moleskine Sketchbooks for the first time. Sporadically over the years I've heard artists rave about Moleskine Sketchbooks. I've always had some temptation of buying one, but I'm really unsure about which one I wanted to try. Recently I've gotten more curious about them and decided to kind of look into it more. So I did a bit of research about them, looking at what other artists use and reading reviews on Amazon. The reviews I read were very mixed, with love of them and disappointment, but I still really wanted to try them out. So I splurged and I bought two types from Amazon that seemed the most interesting to me. The Art Plus hardcover with an A4 size paper, as well as Art Plus soft cover. Both of them say they're for watercolor and drawing. Now the reason I chose to get both is not only because the different sizes and my fondness of sketchbooks in general, it's that I noticed that there's two different paper weights, which can make a lot of difference in how the pages can withstand different mediums. Now the soft cover sketchbook is rated for 81 pounds and 120 GMs, while the hardcover is rated 110 pounds and 165 GM. In comparison, this hardcover to the mixed media, Canson mixed media, which I usually use, this one's 160 GMs, 98 pounds. So the hardcover Moleskine should be a little bit thicker than this Canson mixed media, which I love. So I'm looking forward to that. First impressions, I wasn't sure I'd be so fond of this A4 size because I've never used A4 size paper before, but looking at it, I kind of love it. Somehow the hardcover actually has a bit of a nicer, smoother feel to it than the soft cover does. This is more paper-like, or cardstock-like, whereas this is a lot smoother of a texture. I also always like the band. Opening them up. So I am noticing that this is pretty equivalent to the Canson paper, maybe a little bit thicker. It's a little bit smoother as well. And this is much smoother and thinner than the larger one. So I'm not sure. You can't really see it unless you look really carefully, but. So in order to test these out, we're going to experiment with a few different mediums, and I'm going to actually probably work from the back of the book. This also has a little pocket in the back. Ooh. Never had a sketchbook with like a little instruction history journal in the back. Does this one have it too? This has a flap. It does. Look at that. Alright. So this has a nice little pocket that is open on two sides, whereas this one is just open on one and is a little bit bigger. We're going to put the little historical things off to the side. And we're going to work from the back of the book just so that I can mess some paper up. I'm going to start with the hardcover one, it looks like, first. And we'll just start with basic pencil and then move on to pen. And then we'll get into some wet medium. So I can't seem to find my regular pencil, so I'm just going to go in with color pencil. I'm just going to make So the smoothness of the paper is really nice. It gives a really good blend to the color pencil. You can see that. There's not a lot of tooth, so I don't have to worry about little blips of the paper coming through, which is nice. I'm gonna do a thicker, large brush pen. The pen I'm using is a Master Fine Liner. I actually bought these by mistake. I thought I was getting a really good deal on Micron because they branded exactly the same. Either way, so far these are kind of neat, nifty. The pack I got is like this multi-pack, and I'm really loving the calligraphy brush set, even though I don't do calligraphy. But this one should give thicker line, so I'm curious about how that comes out. So it's not leaking through, which is good. Watercolor brush pen. So I am noticing the paper is coming up a little bit, to be kind of expected when you overwater your paper, but it's not going through. I'm just randomly playing with colors. And as we can see, it's not wet on the other side of the paper. It is kind of picking up some of the paper fibers a little bit. I don't know if you can see that or not. But it didn't go through, and it's not warping so far, which is nice. So this isn't rated for markers, but I'm gonna try some markers on it anyways. These are just Premier markers. I'm not a big marker person, so just found some cheapos on sale to play with. Moment of truth. So that does bleed through quite a bit. It is on the back page there a little bit. As you can see. So if you're really light with it, you can still kind of see through it, but it doesn't bleed out as much. But who's gonna go light on markers? So that is the A4 size. Let's try the soft cover. That's kind of neat. I noticed the inside band has these line weight chart on it, which is kind of cool. Never seen that on a sketchbook before either. And we're gonna color pencil. I feel like the color pencil isn't going on as smoothly as it did on the hardcover. I mean, it's still pretty smooth compared to papers with a little bit more tooth to it. So similar with the hardcover, it's not really leaking through. You can kind of see it close up if you have some light behind it still. So it's pretty comparable to being the same as the other one. So I feel like this paper is warping a little bit more than on the hardcover. Like there's a little bit of warp with the hardcover, but the soft cover is definitely feeling the effects more. definitely still bleeds through. Probably just as much, if not a little bit more, depending on how much you kind of dig into the paper. You also notice a little bit more graininess on this one. The funny thing is that even I might have used more water on this one than this one, but for the watercolor, this seems to warp the paper a little bit more, but you can feel more of the texture coming up on the hardcover. And that might just be me using more water on one than the other one. Because I'm sure if I put more layers down on this one, yeah, we'd start getting more graininess come up out of the paper. So I guess the next step in testing these would be to do a little drawing using a few different mediums. So I just drew, hard to see because I drew him very late, little bird flower dude, I don't know. He seemed kind of easy to draw, so let's color him in. Also, don't yell at me about how I'm using my markers because I'm literally very new at using them, and I've only done 1 or 2 drawings using markers before, so don't yell at me, no hate. So that was just a quick doodle. So the only thing that really seeped through was the marker, as to be expected. The color pencils laid down really well. I didn't go super heavy on the wash from the watercolor brush, so it's not warping at all, and there's not a lot of uptake from the paper, so that's nice. So I'm gonna repeat this little guy in the smaller one and see how it does. Okay, so there's a more rushed version of the same little guy. One thing I noticed while working in this one that I didn't notice before is that these pages are actually perforated. So you can tear the pages out if you want, which is kind of nice. If you're one of those people who sketch something and then want to scan it, actually pull it out to scan. Although I'm not sure with this book it's very necessary to actually have the perforated sheets because this book is a soft cover. So it's pretty pliable. If you're going to scan it, you can pretty well fold it in half if you need to. It would probably be more useful in this one because of the fact that it is a hardcover and it might not lay down as flat on the scanner. Although it's laying down pretty flat in the center. But you don't have the same kind of pliableness as with the soft cover. Overall, last impressions. I did really enjoy the hardcover more than the soft cover, which is a little disappointing because I usually prefer soft cover journals because they are more pliable than hardcovers. I do enjoy the size of this, but it does to me seem a little bit more on the flimsy side in general compared to some other softcover journals that I've tried. So this is like a good travel size, I'd say. I got a lot more enjoyment out of the hardcover one than I did with the softcover. Paper wise, this is the little bit of thickness on the hardcover is definitely a little bit nicer than the soft cover, especially if you want to do a wash. You'll notice the ripples a little bit less. The colored pencil also laid down smoother for some reason, and this one than it did in the soft cover. It's just a very slight difference in the paper. I believe these are basically the same paper except one's thicker than the other. So if I were to repurchase a Moleskine journal, I would definitely go towards this larger hardcover one before I went back to the smaller one, unless I had a specific project I wanted to use the smaller one for. I wouldn't mind having a larger one in a square because I kind of like the concept of square sketchbooks, but this A4 size is very nice. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's my review of the two different kinds of Moleskins. I'm probably going to definitely use this hardcover one when I finish my January-February sketchbook. If I finish it, I'm not drawing a lot right now, but I'm almost halfway through it, so maybe I will move from this one, which is a travel journal, to this Moleskine, and maybe play around with this one a little bit if I'm traveling at all this year, just kind of as a backup. So I think that's it for this video. If you have any questions or comments you would like to make, feel free to in the comment section below. It'd be appreciated if you liked and subscribed. No pressure. Otherwise, we will see you in the next video.